when people started saying, this Mayegun is a prophet, I said, no, I am not. I am just somebody who chose, right, never to forget the actions of people, including the perpetrators. You see, when you talk about something wrong, that is talking about the problems. I am just somebody who loves to put all of the pieces together, and then will be able to kind of make a projection that usually come to pass. Unfortunately, most of the perpetrators of the crimes against Nigeria and against Nigerians, when they have the chance to actually do something by stopping the evil, they are mostly sealed-lipped because they are part of it. And it's kind of sad when people who are part of the evil machination, when they are no longer part of it anymore, then they suddenly begin to speak the truth. So it hurts, it's sad, because they could have made a lot of difference. When we come on here to say Nigeria Judiciary is a cash and carry business center, it is a place where justice is always for sale. And then the person with the deepest pockets would always be able to buy justice. That is what Nigeria has become since the criminal takeover of Nigeria has been concluded. Now, when you make such allegations with facts, mostly the affected people or institution in Nigeria, they will come back out with guns in hands blazing hot, coming for you. Oh, you are desecrating our image. You are defaming us. You are trying to tarnish the noble image of the judiciary. But this is coming from one of them that retired this week. It's been there for a while. The Supreme Court of Nigeria. Justice AGBAKOBA, Injustice Muhammad Dattijo. Now, this man retired. On the day of his retirement, he decided to let all of you receive this confirmation of everything Mayegun has told you about this criminal contraption. It is an establishment of crook. Until they are gone, Nigeria is dead. That's ash, isn't it, right? A country without justice and law. A country where criminals are, and then the criminals and lawbreakers are lawmakers. You will never make any progress. It is not a cause. There is consequence, and there are consequences for bad choices. Now, from this table of somebody who has been inside, I want you to listen very, very attentively, word for word, from this retiring or retired member of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. He was supposed to be part and parcel of of the Supreme Court panel that was supposed to legitimize the drug dealer, the certificate forger, Tifnumbu. Here you get. Now listen. Now again, it is not because he's in any way useful to anybody anymore. Dattijo is no longer useful to anybody. His words are no longer useful to anybody. But you see, words of people like this, they are like words on marble to remind all of you that if, as he stepped aside, right, they are already planning on those who are going to replace him. The same tradition, right, that he was part of, that he decided to spill the beans while he was bowing out, the same tradition continues. But to those of you who are enabling it, allowing it, and considering people like us who are taking them, they're calling them out, calling us troublemakers, people who have no respect. You cannot respect institutions that is being managed by criminals, even if they are wearing wig. Do you understand? You cannot respect institutions or group of people or anybody that is a criminal. You can't. You call them out because the consequences of what they are doing with those important institutions are unimaginable. And that is why they deserve no respect, because they are a bunch of criminals. Dattijo called the Supreme Court of Nigeria Judiciary. He called them judicial bandits. People who have taken over the Nigerian judiciary. They have politicized it. They have ethnicized it. They have tribalized it. In fact, they have now turned it into a family business. And this is the man who has been part of it all along. He is not the Chief Justice, so he had this to say. Partly, let's listen.
The conversation about the diminishing number of justices at the Supreme Court has become a refrain. As I bow out today, the number is further reduced to 10 against the constitutional requirement of 21 justices. That this avoidable depletion has affected and will further affect the court and litigants to state in the obvious. We are in an election season where the election tribunals and appellate courts are inundated with all manner of petitions and appeals. The Supreme Court is the final court in the presidential, governorship, and National Assembly election appeals. Yet, there are only 10 justices left to determine these matters. Constitutionally, each of these appeals requires a panel of 7 justices to sit on them. When a panel of 7 justices is constituted to sit on a particular appeal, only 3 justices are left. Even when regular appeals are being heard in the Supreme Court, a panel of 5 justices is required to sit. We must not forget that the court, being the highest in the land, receives all manner of appeals from the court below. Presently, there is neither limit nor distinction to the manner of appeals that come to the apex court. Again, beside election matters which are seasonal, the Supreme Court's dockets is overflowing with civil and criminal appeals, some of which took many years to arrive. Most of these are still pending. Several have not even been assigned hearing dates. The court also exercises original jurisdiction. As the justices who hear these matters are grossly overstretched, unable to meet the demands of their onerous assignment, the litigants who approach the court seeking justice are left in limbo, waiting endlessly for justice to be served. These, as I have said before, are avoidable. While I exit today, the North Central Zone that I represent ceases to have any representation until such a time new appointments are made. My Lord Honorable Justice AGBAKOBA, JS, who also represented the zone, retired on the 23rd of May 2022. It has been a year and 5 months now. There has not been any replacement. With the person of my Lord Honorable Justice Chima Santos Nweze, JSC, on 29th July 2023, the Southeast no longer has any presence at the court. My Lord Honorable Justice Sylvester Mwani Nguta, JSC, died on the 7th of March 2021. I repeat, 2021. There has not been any appointment in his stead for the Southeast. To ensure justice and transparency in presidential appeals, thank God they have been heard and determined. All geopolitical zones need to be represented. They are required to participate in the hearing of such appeals. It is therefore dangerous, or it was therefore dangerous, for democracy and equity for two entire regions to be left out in the decisions that affect the generality of Nigerians. This is not what our laws envisage. Although it can be posited that no one expected the sudden person of Honorable Justice Muhammad, yet it has been 2 years and 7 months since previous justice from the Southeast died and no appointment was made. The same thing with respect to the replacement of Justice Eko of the North Central, who exited nearly 2 years ago. Honorable Justice Sidi Bagi, now His Royal Highness the Emir of Lafia from the North Central, had earlier voluntarily retired. He equally is yet to be replaced. Also, it was clear after mention that I will be leaving the court this day on attaining the statutory age of 70. It is then not in doubt that there has been sufficient time for suitable replacements to have been appointed. This is yet to occur. When on the 6th of November.
So as to save our time, okay, so we're just going to go through everything like a little like that, okay? So that was him making a sort of argument for the Southeast Nigeria and then the North Central, which is the middle belt part of Nigeria, not having representatives in the Nigerian Supreme Court, okay? It is at the prerogative of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, okay, to make recommendation through the NJC, Nigerian Judiciary Council or something, right? So through them, then it will pass it on to the president to kind of approve, and then they will promote them to the Supreme Court and all that. But for some reason, since all those dates he mentioned, right? Now let's take a look at the part of the corruption in the judiciary that he also mentioned. Corrupt, corrupted judgment, like that of Hopeless Uzodegba, the Supreme Court governor of Owerri, who has brought terrorism to the eastern part of Nigeria on behalf of APC, by the way, with facts and records to back that up. Dattijo, people are already calling him that thief, Abi. That thief Joe. Okay. If it goes well, right? Injustice, that thief Joe, Abi. Here is his position on the crooked judgment from the Supreme Court that are completely against their own constitution in Nigeria.
If the people we have sworn to defend have lost confidence, there is a problem that must be. Some of these senior members of the bar, inter alia, citing the Ahmed Lawan, the former president of the Senate, and the Imo governorship appeals, claim that decisions of even the apex court have become unpredictable. It is difficult to understand how and where, by these decisions, the judicial pendulum swings. It was not so, they contend. In some quarters, the view is strongly held that filth and intrigues characterize the institution these days. Judges are said to be comfortable in companies they never would have kept in the past. It is being insinuated that some judicial officers even campaign for the politicians. It cannot be more than fine.
And that is the the Chief Justice of Nigeria there, okay? Ariwola, who made all of this happen. He's a member, or should we say he is a patron of the Werewike's G-string, G5. G5 are the G-string governors. So Ariwola, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, he was so proud and happy that his own state governor, Sheyi Makinde, is a member of the G-string governor of PDP at the time. So if all of you didn't see the handwriting on the wall before now, I bet some of you are kind of still experiencing the shock or something, right? However, infiltrating the judiciary with their children, family members, to make them justices across Nigeria is also another, the judicial banditry that has taken over Nigeria, the Agberuism. In fact, it's about to get worse. From the mouth of one of them.
The process of appointment of judges and the quality of judgments of courts. A couple of years ago, appointment to the bench was strictly on merit. Strictly on merit. Sound knowledge of the law, integrity, honor, and hard work distinguished those who were elevated. Lobbying was unheard of. Lobbying to accost justices into their chambers by people who seek to be elevated, that the judges should put in words for them, were unheard of. You will just be sitting, and if those who are given the responsibility of making the elevation find you worthy, you just get a letter to that effect. You wouldn't have gone to anybody to ask for any favors or recognition. But that is not the case today, unfortunately. I never lobbied, not at any stage of my career, to secure any appointment or elevation. And I challenge anybody to contradict this statement of mine. As much as possible, the most qualified men and women were appointed. That can no longer be said about appointments to the bench these days. The judiciary must be uniquely above board. Appointments should not be polluted by political, selfish, and sectional interests. The place of merit, it must be urged, cannot be overemphasized. Recently, fresh allegations have been made that children and other relatives of serving and retired judges and justices are being appointed into judicial offices at the expense of more qualified candidates lacking in such privilege and backing. It is asserted that the process of appointment to judicial positions are deliberately conducted to give undue advantage to the children, spouses, and mistresses of serving and retired judges and managers of judicial offices. At the Court of Appeal, it is also asserted that presiding justices are now being appointed out of turn. Out of turn. When we were there, people to become presiding justices knew themselves and when they would become such officers. But now the perception is that now justices have been appointed out of turn. And there is the further issue of the unpredictable nature of recent decisions of the courts as well.
So you are watching this now. You are following all of this. And somehow, maybe something is kind of telling you, right, to ignore these facts and then still start telling yourself that justice must be served. Justice must be served. Justice must be served where? By who? These people? Where? In Nigeria, justice is a very, very rare commodity in a country where you have judicial bandits. Well, Dattijo did not round up his retirement speech without talking about why they are corrupt. According to him, the salary of a judge, I think, is about 750,000 naira, and which is really making them prone to corruption. Baba, we thought legal profession was a noble profession. No be so? Listen to this.
There is an a terrible decline in the services and the welfare of justices and officers of the institution. I should know, and I know, and I'm saying it as I know. It may interest one to know that, and this is another ridiculous thing, that the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court earns more than the justices of the court. It's not something of today. This anomaly has been in existence all these years. I was a Chief Registrar in 1986. I knew what salary I drew vis-a-vis what the judges of the High Court that I served were taking. Supreme Court is the highest court. And yet, the Chief Registrar of this court earns much more than I do, earns much more than we all do, and nobody talks. Nobody talks. While she earns 1.2 million a month, justices take home 751,000 naira in a month. The Chief Justice on his part takes home 400,000 plus. The Chief Justice. The salary of a justice, curiously, drops rather than increases when he gets the added responsibility of being a Chief Justice. That the unjust and embarrassing salary difference between the justices and the Chief Registrar still abides, remains intriguing, to say the least. It is highly intriguing that this anomaly, we all know it, and nobody has taken it a duty to do something about it. Valedictory session after valedictory session.
No, like that. So no wonder Kalu said they have to take good care of the judges in Nigeria. And when it took money, 800 billion naira for subsidy palliative, he gave 40 billion to the Nigeria Judiciary Council for their welfare. So Dattijo had to add that if you think a judge that is earning 750,000 naira will be offered $10 million cash and a choice of property in his own choosing areas all over Nigeria and outside Nigeria, just to write a judgment that says Kalu has no case to answer, she no go take him. Well, that is the direct or indirect message that Dattijo was also sending there, to say, well, we are poorly paid, and during elections is the time we cash out, and therefore we roll out fraudulent judgments, and people do nothing.